Funny thing is, you could hear her screaming.
One of my riding instructors, lovely chap called Will, recently had his Facebook account hacked. And this was just a complete chance encounter. I got sent a message, didn't look or sound anything like Will, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to ignore that. I don't know who you are, but you're not who I think you are, mainly because I know Will doesn't really use Facebook much, let alone send me a message after all these years. I'm surprised he even bloody remembers me, but yeah, surprise, surprise. He is a riding instructor, as I mentioned, and he had 2 students with him. Now, we have a lot of roundabouts in my town, and what he was doing, if I can give you an example up here, he was covering the 2 students in front of him like a good riding instructor would. He had an Audi behind him, and that Audi was desperately trying to use the roundabouts to cut in front. And basically, you know, if you're going straight at a roundabout, you usually stay in the left-hand lane because left is best. But this Audi was trying to use the right-hand lane to jump on the roundabout and then cut in front of traffic. So, for example, I'm going to go straight on, I'm going to take the left lane. But what this Audi was doing was taking the right lane and trying to cut right across me and bugger up my day. Now, Will's got 2 students to look after. They might not be checking their mirrors all the time. They're going to be usually going to be less aware of what's going on around them. So Will's got a responsibility to protect them. So what does he do? He swings his bike out into the right-hand lane to stop the Audi from overtaking. It works. Now the Audi driver gets quite irate, tries it again at the next roundabout, doesn't work. Will does it again. Now, I would say any normal driver, even that lacking patience, might just think about things and say, oh yeah, there's 2 bikes in front of him and the back of his jacket says riding instructor. Maybe he's teaching people how to ride. Maybe I should give them more space as you would a learner. But as we've seen so many times, especially like little clips on YouTube, people don't like to give learners space. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's that sort of, you know, well, I've already done my bit, I've already done my test, so I don't give a damn about you. And I've heard some stories about people failing their tests because of other drivers like that, and it sickens me. However, this was just, you know, training for these riders to get them onto their basic compulsory training so they could ride up to 125cc motorcycles for the 2 years. So yeah, it's their little training to get on the road. I'm going to turn off somewhere down here to get rid of this wind. Will's a very experienced rider. He's an older chap and he rides defensively to help his students. Can't ask for much of a better riding instructor than that. He is experienced to high noon and back, all things considered. What I'm going to do, I'm going to let this car pass, because I know you ain't going to bloody slow down for me. And see, it's little things like that. You can see how quick these cars come up behind you. Yes, I'm only doing 20 miles an hour, but hey, ho hum. I like to go nice and slowly around here because it's a lovely area. Now, Will's decided after the second roundabout of this guy trying to overtake him and cut up, you know, between him and his riders and, you know, causing a danger basically. He said, okay, let's pull in to the next junction, and it's a slip road that goes off into a housing estate. So they've parked on the slip road. That's where Will's told them to take shelter basically from the traffic. So they do just that. Then the Audi storms past all of them, slams on the brakes, and then also comes into this area. So Will's immediately thinking, okay, it's a little bit strange. But then the Audi stops, and then a rather irate driver gets out of his car. Oh boy, we now have a confrontation. So this guy squares off with Will, and he says, you know, all the things to high heaven and back, all the insults in the book, all the, you know, effing and blinding you can say. And Will's just standing there, sort of, you know, intimidated, but ultimately he has to hold himself in front of his students as well, because, you know, he has to do care to not only protect himself, to look after himself and the bikes, but also the students. So at this point, he wants to calm the situation as quick as possible, but he's going to stand his ground. And yeah, so we basically have a thug that needs to basically be banned from driving, as far as I'm concerned. But that's just my opinion. People like that don't deserve to be on the road. Anyway, I'm also going to let this van pass as well. at this next little juncture. So next that turns up is an unmarked car, and out comes a traffic officer. Now, they have a vast well of knowledge when it comes to road traffic bits and bobs. There you are, sir. A lovely day to you. And you know, this chap got out, and then he confronted the guy that was being a dickhead and calmed the situation down. The guy in the Audi knew he was in trouble straight away. He knew it. Turns out he had already been banned from driving, or he had a suspension on his license. He had X amount of points. He was driving, I don't know, without insurance, without tax, all this sort of stuff. Basically, he's been caught, and he is most likely going to be put before another magistrate to say, okay, why did you drive again? Why did you get another car, and why did you start driving again? You absolute pillock. He knows he's in trouble. He knows he's screwed. So, as far as Will's concerned now, it's like, oh, okay. Well, that's definitely de-escalated the situation. However, I still have 2 students here. What the hell are they thinking? Because this could be like one of their first times riding on the road, out on the road, and they've already had a major case of road rage and potential assault. It could have only been a matter of time until this nut job's emotions just spilled over, and then huzzah. Anyway. On with the story, Red. On with the story. The traffic officer gets the guy in the back of his car, in the traffic officer car. He then approaches Will and says, right, do you want to press charges? Do you want to do anything? Because I was basically behind you the entire time. Now, you're either really stupid or incredibly brave. Because of the way this guy was driving, you put yourself at risk. And then Will, in his defence, said, no, I understand that, but I have a duty to look after these 2 students. And I tried to protect them while also riding defensively to prevent him from overtaking me, potentially harming myself because he can see me, and then also the 2 students in front of me. I think Will's done the right job here. I think he's done an absolute sublime job with the way he's described it. Then they have a more of a discussion, which I forget about, but ultimately the traffic officer says to him, yep, just take care, go back to your training centre, end the lesson immediately. I'm going to stall this guy here for now. I'm going to give him the rundown of all the bits and bobs, all this sort of stuff. I'm going to stall him for as long as possible. He's going to be stuck in my car. During that time, you get these 2 students off the road, you end the lesson, and then you reschedule them for later. Because once this guy is out of my car, he will be on the hunt for you. We've dealt with him before, and he has tried this before. Immediately I'm thinking, oh boy, there's an Audi driver in my town that aggressively chases people that wrong him. Wow. Suddenly I'm thinking twice about, okay, well maybe I don't want to piss other drivers off, but you know, once in a million, I suppose. It just, yeah, it's incredulous, absolutely incredulous that someone has that sort of mental incapability to think about what their actions are. Even when their license has already been suspended or they've got a ban from driving, to still go out and do exactly the same thing all over again. Like, you must be on something. You need help, basically, is my take on that. You need help. You need to talk to someone. Because that's just not normal in any regards. Anyway. So Will does just that. And now he's got a lovely story to tell of this immense road rage. And when he was telling myself in rhythmic this story, I just thought to myself, I cannot even comprehend what you've just told me, because it sounds so outlandish, but this is coming from Will, a rider I greatly respect, who taught me how to ride. When I learned how to ride, I got trained by a guy who didn't even tell me how to put the bike into neutral. I had no confidence in riding, and ultimately I didn't ride for about 5 years. That was my first experience on the road, and I didn't know how to put the bike in neutral. How do you not tell a student how to do that? So when I stall it on a roundabout, suddenly I'm going up first, second. What am I doing? I can't get the bike started, and so on and so forth. La 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 la. Oh, it was agony. But Will gave me my encouragement, the right amount of confidence which I needed, and he got me back on the road. So I have immense respect for Will. What a lad. And I trust I trust at least the majority of that story is true. But yeah, so that's my little story, courtesy of one of my riding instructors. And I hope you've got a fun story to tell yourself. Do apologise if this one was a little bit long, but you know, when you get into a story, you really get into it, don't you? And yeah, what I'll do, I'll leave it there. Have yourselves a lovely weekend. As always, do ride safe, mind other drivers, be mindful of yourself, the people with you and without you. And if you do see some road rage, get the hell out of there. Just get the hell out of there. You know, it's fun to see other people freak, but at the end of the day, best tip I can give yourselves, or even myself, is get the hell out of there. Yes! Oh, that is fun. That is fun.